Hey guys, welcome to day 7 of the $1,000 challenge. And what a week! What an incredible week it has been. I've been so happy and honored and feel really privileged that you guys have shared the last week with me. And I hope that you guys are starting to see some really awesome results. Now, I've received a few emails from you guys. Some of them have been fantastic, and I know you guys are absolutely crushing it. And some other people are really struggling because they've been either very overwhelmed with all of the information that's come out or a little bit frustrated because sometimes some of these steps take some time to implement. And let me be the first to say that I get it. I honestly do. These challenges are called challenges for a reason, and to be able to actually dig deep and get all 7 of them done in a 7-day period is a mammoth effort. So don't feel bad if it's taking you a little bit of time to get through some of these steps, because they are time consuming, and I understand that. The thing about a challenge is I could give you all of this information and I could drip it out to you over a 6-week period. And actually that's how the first challenge ran. It was a 6-week challenge. But here's what we found. The first 2 weeks, everyone was really gung-ho and they got in and they're excited. Everyone was opening their emails and doing things. Now, by about week 3, the enthusiasm for the challenge had sort of started to peter off a little bit. And by the time we got to week 6, nobody was doing anything anymore because the fire wasn't there. The urgency wasn't there. Is asking you guys to do all of this in a 7-day period overwhelming? Absolutely. But it's a challenge, and it's called a challenge for a reason. Here's the thing though. If you can take some time each day to implement one of these steps, you may not see the results immediately, but you've already done the hard work. So if you sat down and you did a budget and you allocated $166 over the next month, maybe it was just a small part out of each pay that you received. It's automatically done. The hard work's already done. Now you just need to wait to reap the rewards. The same thing applies to cutting the crap. If you've cancelled some subscriptions, you may not immediately see the benefit of doing that. But once those subscriptions become due and you don't pay them, then you will see the reward. But of course that takes time. The thing is getting you guys to take action now. Spending a week of taking really serious, intentional action so that you can sort of sit back over the next couple of weeks and start to see to reap the rewards for all of the hard effort that you've put in. So don't feel overwhelmed. Well, I understand why you feel overwhelmed. It is a lot to get done in a 1-week period, but also understand that these things do take time to pay off. And don't feel disappointed in yourself or the system because you haven't seen the payoff for your hard work yet. It is definitely coming. What I encourage you to do is stick with it over the coming weeks. If you can continue to implement some of these strategies, particularly being intentional about your spending habits, what you are purchasing and why you are purchasing them, and also being very proactive about increasing your income, we can really quickly put this $1,000 in our bank accounts. And I think that all of us have a very good chance of completing this challenge by the end of this month. I really honestly do, particularly now that you guys have all of the tools and you have all of the skills. Really double down next week, knowing exactly full well what you need to do, knowing where you are now by looking at what's in your bank account and seeing how far you have to go to get $1,000 in there by the end of this month, and really start to get creative. Look at the things that have worked really well for you so far in the $1,000 challenge. And maybe it's been selling things on Facebook Marketplace. Maybe that was far more successful than what you thought. So double down on that. Don't list 7 things next week, list 14. Or I heard an Instagram post I was tagged on, and there was a lady who spent one day, she was from 9 till 4 or something like that. It was basically a full day just listing stuff online. She listed 50 items. And I'm like, she's my hero. That is just an amazing effort. She's put the hard work in, but she's going to reap the rewards from that. And some of these things might take a little bit of time to sell. They might take a week or two, but she's done the hard work. And this is what this challenge was all about, was spending 1 week being really intentional, setting up all of these steps, getting in there, getting it done, setting the foundation. So we've got a really solid foundation, and from this point out, we need to maintain and grow wealth. And so that's what this challenge was all about. And I hope you guys picked up on that somewhere through the challenge. I know a few of you mentioned setting the goal of saving $1,000 in a month. And so you guys get it. You are understanding what this challenge is about. And it's about spending a week really addressing some of those core issues so you guys can go off on your own and then implement these changes and reap the rewards. So let's get down to our day 7 tip. And I was almost going to say our final tip, but I actually have another tip for you guys tomorrow. So the party doesn't end just yet. But today's tip, so hopefully you have received today's email and you've had a chance to have a look at that. And today's tip is, on the surface of things, perhaps a little bit counterintuitive. And today's tip and today's challenge is to give. And I know you hear a lot of people talking about giving, and that people talk about giving for all different reasons. And I know that if you are taking a Dave Ramsey approach, or if you are religiously inclined to donate, then I understand the principle behind tithing. But not being a religious person myself, for a long time I thought that didn't apply to me because I don't go to church, so I don't have to do that. And it seemed like I was kind of winning because, well, that's an extra 10% that's in my pocket and I can do something with that I want to do. And I was really challenged to think about that kind of mindset and what that might be doing to me and my outlook, and how that might be affecting me negatively and not in the positive way that I think it is. So today's tip goes out to everybody, not just the people who are already giving, and not just to the people who aren't giving at all. This one really goes to everybody, because I believe that I have learnt something about giving that perhaps most people are not quite picking up on, and that is looking at what successful people are doing, and we know that they give. And we know that people who give find contentment. And I know that I certainly believed that I had to be wealthy before I could give, and I had to give before I could find contentment. But I think we've got it all wrong. I think we're all looking at this in the wrong way. And I honestly believe that we need to give and find contentment in our own lives as they are right now before we can grow wealth. And I believe that that is directly related to the consumer-based society that we are all a part of. And as much as I know some of us try to fight that, and some of us are doing a really good job, and we're embracing things like minimalism and being more mindful with the type of lifestyle that we are living, but we still live in a consumer-based society, and it is all around us all the time. I say in the email, it's basically forced down our throats, because you turn the TV on and that is pretty much all that is doing, just forcing consumerism down our throats. When we talk to people, particularly people outside of the debt-free community or people who are on this journey to financial independence, when we talk to people outside of those groups, consumerism is just so normal. It's just been accepted as part of the way that the world is, that we don't stop and question it. And I believe that what giving does, particularly when we might feel like we don't have anything to give and we force ourselves to give, it really changes and redirects that mindset. It takes us from a place of, where we are thinking about all the things that we don't have and all the things that are out there that we could have, and particularly if you're buying into some of that consumerism, advertising and mindset, we're looking at happiness being just around the next purchase. I just need to get into a house of my own and then I'll be happy. I just need to get a new car and then I'll be happy. I just need to have some nice clothes and then I'll be happy. And you can see how this can be big things and little things, and it can change for each of us. But consumerism has us in that type of mindset. What giving does is giving makes us, instead of reflecting inwards, we reflect outwards. And we realize that even in the position that we are now, even if we happen to feel like we feel broke, we feel like we're struggling, we still have the power to make a difference in somebody else's life, which means we actually have abundance, because not only do we have enough for us and for our family, we have enough to help somebody else and make a difference in their world. And that's the beginning of starting to understand just how much abundance we actually do have. Because we have a lot. And I hope some of the things that I asked you guys to do this week, the challenges that I set for you, made you realize, I don't have any food. I need to go shopping because, we don't have enough to get us through the week. But when you actually pulled everything out of the cupboards and you wrote a list, there was quite a few of you who mentioned that you actually had so much more than what you thought. And you actually thought you had nothing, like you were really doing this meal planning thing really well. And yet, you could at least get a couple of meals out of it that you didn't think were there. Sure, they probably weren't perfectly nutritiously balanced, but it was a meal. And today's challenge is about being grateful that you had that, because there are people out there who don't even have that. Now, it might have been, the weirdest, crappiest meal that you've ever had and everything came out of a can. But there are people who are praying to be in that situation. So today's challenge is about really reflecting on what we do have and being grateful for all that we do have, down to the point that I want you to be grateful that you have the ability to have a phone bill and pay it, that you have that luxury in your life. Even be grateful that you have electricity. When that bill comes in and you pay it gratefully, because not only can you can afford to pay that bill, but you have the abundance in your life to have that. And there are people who can't. There are people who can't pay their electricity bill. There are people who get their electricity cut off. So today's challenge, there are no rules. I'm not going to tell you that you need to give 10% of your income or anything like that. But what I would like you guys to do is sit down with your family and talk about giving, and talk about the amazing gift that could be, not only from your family, but to your family as well. And I would like you to decide at least one place where you could give money this weekend, make a donation this weekend that is going to impact somebody else's life in a positive way. I'm going to leave that one completely up to you in how much and who you decide to give that to. I can tell you that one of our personal not-for-profit organisations that we like to donate to on a regular basis is Heartfelt. And if you watch the first video, I did talk about us donating to them. And they are an organisation that we found just prior to beginning our debt-free journey. And my sister actually said to me, have you heard of these people? Have you thought about actually volunteering and becoming a photographer for them? Because prior to this, I was running a small photography business. And I will be honest, that is a job that I know within my heart I am not capable of doing. So the fact that there are people who volunteer their time to help families who are going through something that I just could not imagine the pain and the suffering being in that situation of either losing a child through illness or delivering a stillborn baby. And these people are there volunteering their time, but also giving these families the gift of photographic memories at absolutely no charge to them whatsoever. It is a really noble and honourable gift that they are giving. But this is a world in which everything costs something. So somehow these costs have to be covered. And there is the opportunity for people like us and like you, if you should so choose, to be able to donate the cost of a package. The photographer themselves are free, but obviously printing and all of that sort of stuff does cost money, and that is covered in these packages which you can donate. Heartfelt might not be right for you, but I do want you to spend a little bit of time and see where you can make a difference. One of the things that we found, which was really interesting when we became more aware of giving and we wanted to give, there was actually a real desire for us to find places or people that we wanted to help. You'll be surprised at the opportunities that do present themselves, from friends sharing GoFundMe accounts to people talking about perhaps not-for-profit organisations, or saying, hey, did you know that I volunteer for this place or that place? There are so many opportunities all around us, but we sometimes tend to block them out. I want you to be really open to them, and I want you to sit down with your family this weekend, talk about giving, talk about how much you have to give, and really use that exercise to be grateful for where you are right now, because that is one of the cornerstones of building wealth. When we can be grateful for what we have, we can make better decisions and better choices about what we're going to do with our money when it comes in. We're removing ourselves from that consumer mindset, and we are getting away from that need to constantly buy things to make our lives better or ourselves feel better. To stop striving for more and bigger and better. When we can control that, we have so much more power in our buying decision, and we have so much more power in our wealth building because we're already content. We're making wise decisions rather than impulse buys. And that is going to be a huge step in building wealth, particularly as we start to increase our income or free up more of our disposable income as we get some of these debts paid off. Some of these steps that I've asked you guys to tackle this week, some of them have been really basic, and I know there's been a few people that have said, I already do a budget. Well, that's great. You're halfway there. Look at how you can improve these things. But at the end of the day, or the end of the week, so it may be, the point of this challenge was about setting a firm foundation from here on out. And I hope that's what we've achieved over the last couple of days. I hope I've given you guys some things to think about. I hope I've challenged you to think about some of your behaviours and some of your habits, and perhaps given you guys a few little tips and tricks to help boost your income or get more out of the money that you already have. I'd love to have some feedback from you guys, either via an email, or if you feel like posting on Instagram or in the Facebook group. Please let me know how you guys are going with this challenge, what successes you've had, what challenges you've come up against, and what sort of things you're thinking about slightly differently now that you have worked your way through the $1,000 challenge. Don't forget, I have one more bonus tip for you guys tomorrow. So I will be back with one last video before we begin to wrap things up. Once again, thanks so much for being on this journey with me. It really does mean the world to me that so many people have been part of the $1,000 challenge, and we will be running it again in April. And I am so excited to be getting this message out and helping people realize that they don't have to be stuck, that we don't have to be one of those 1 in 5 Australian families who cannot handle a $500 emergency. So thank you guys for allowing us this opportunity, and thank you to everyone who's given us feedback and helping us make this even better, because ultimately that is our goal, and we appreciate your help with our little mission. So thanks guys. I will see you guys one last time tomorrow, and I am really excited about this little bonus tip to help you guys out next week and to stay strong in your pursuit of financial independence. All right, guys, I'll talk to you then. Bye.